thinking about it. But for today, that is not why I'm here. I'm here for the steak.
All right, let's be honest. If you don't live there or don't make politics your profession, you have asked yourself at some time, what is it that makes the state of Iowa so important to the election of a president, and who handed them all this power in the first place? With the midterms edging closer every day and the election of a new president not long after that, the state of Iowa is puffing out its chest once again and preparing to lead the way. So now let's dig into what makes Iowa so important. Welcome to MidPoint from the Afternoon Drive program on WHO Radio, the 50,000-watt boomer in the American heartland who launched the sportscasting career of a guy named Ronald Reagan. It's a pleasure to be joined by Simon Conway. Simon, thanks so much for being here today.
My absolute pleasure. How are you?
Everything is good. Everything is wonderful. It's the weekend. We're counting down towards the midterms. Everybody's arguing back and forth. So it's a perfect political day then, is it not?
Yes, indeed it is.
So what is it then? Iowa has 6 electoral votes. What is it about Iowa that every time it's mentioned, politicians, just their eyes light up, everybody gets excited? Other than the fact it's first, we get that, but why is it so important?
Well, it's important. You might want to ask Rudy Giuliani that question, who decided to bypass Iowa and head to Florida. I don't think that worked out too well for him. It's first in the nation. It gives you momentum, and that's really important. It's a state that you can cover fairly easily at low cost, which means candidates, if it was New York, California first, candidates with little money actually couldn't make an impact. So it helps the nation look at people who they may not have considered before now.
Is it fair to say that there's a rather large amount of voters there that are unaffiliated, and that, as
Yes.
many people have said, that what makes it attractive is they're persuadable? People in Iowa haven't made up their mind from the very first moment.
You've got that going for you as well. By the way, I'm one of those who is unaffiliated. You've got that going for you as well, no question. And if you look at Iowa results in terms of percentages, and then you look at the national numbers after all the elections all over, it's almost a mirror.
So what is it?
So although people will say the Midwest, it's not real America, this is something weird and we shouldn't be doing it, look at the percentage numbers over the last presidential elections, and you are going to see that Iowa is a mirror of the nation.
What is it that Iowans are looking for that steers them and that gets them involved in a candidate and makes them say, that's the one?
Well, I wish I could answer that properly. I would like to say honesty, but that would be dishonest.
Well, if it was honesty, then I don't know if anybody would ever get elected president. That's another story altogether. But at least what you're saying is Iowans want honesty. They want to at least try and elicit that from their candidates, get them to give them something real?
They do try and do that. And, when on my show every afternoon, when we get politicians in, we simply won't take the political answer. We'll let them ramble away and use their media training to talk out the TV segment. And when they catch their breath, I'll say, well, that's all very well, but that wasn't the question. And we go right back to it. So we do seek honesty from our candidates. But also, you've got to be fair. Iowans are persuaded by the bright, sparkly lights as well. I mean, look at President Obama.
By the way, good to see that there's somebody else out there who always asks a couple of extra questions. Very nice. I'll go ahead and put that in here as well. From your afternoon show, then, what are you hearing from Iowa voters right now as we head towards the midterms and then look forward to 2016 about who they like and who they don't?
Well, 2016 has already kind of kicked off. I mean, tomorrow in Iowa, we will have Ted Cruz. I've actually lost count of the number of times he's been here this year, but it's at least 5. We will also have Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal. He will be here as well, both of them making very important speeches. Rick Perry has been numerous times already, so you could say 2016 has already started. And the clip you played right at the beginning, of course, we had Hillary here last weekend, but she's not thinking really about anything but steak, apparently. And Iowans actually don't like that. They laugh, but they don't really like it because they know it's not true. I mean, by all means, say you're thinking about it. Don't read the gag, which is what she did.
All right, so who do they like and who do they don't?
For 2016?
Sure.
It's too early. I mean, it really is too early.
Oh, come on, it's never too early.
It is too early. I can tell you that they're looking at Rick Perry in a different light because he's clearly, he's over his back surgery. He's not having those issues. He's definitely much stronger than he was last time. He seems really fired up. I saw a speech he gave in Dallas about 3 weeks ago. I've never seen him so fired up, and here's a man who's been in my studio maybe 5 times. So he's generating some interest. People do like Ted Cruz in some respects. We're still waiting to see if Huckabee gets in. Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. A lot of people love Ben Carson but don't think he's strong enough even to get out of the primary stage of the election because he's just too nice. He's a real nice guy.
All right, I got about 90 seconds left. I have to ask you this. I'm going to play for our audience here. You've probably seen it too. This is a television ad from Joni Ernst, who's involved in the Iowa Senate campaign right now. This is her 30-second campaign ad. And then I got to ask you about if this is Iowa politics. Here it is.
I'm Joni Ernst. I grew up castrating hogs on an Iowa farm. So when I get to Washington, I'll know how to cut pork.
Joni Ernst, mother, soldier, conservative.
My parents taught us to live within our means. It's time to force Washington to do the same. To cut wasteful spending, repeal Obamacare, and balance the budget. I'm Joni Ernst, and I approve this message because Washington's full of big spenders. Let's make them squeal.
All right, I got about 30 seconds left here. Let's go ahead and castrate him. Is that Iowa politics at its best, and how do the people there like
I got
it?
to tell you, in the 30 seconds that you've got, I got to tell you, that's what won her the primary. She won the primary, 56% of the vote against 5 other candidates, easily won the primary. That's the reason why. She's not doing that now, and she's facing the worst Democrat in the country. Even MSNBC took him down this morning and said they should fire Bruce Braley.
By the way, if they had a castrating contest, a hog castrating contest in Iowa, would that help them make their decision on who the president should be?
I think it would help a lot of people, certainly with Joni Ernst, who, by the way, is still an active duty serving lieutenant colonel in the Iowa Army National Guard.
Oh, I want to see that. If that competition comes in, I want to have the play-by-play rights to that every week. Simon Conway from WHO Radio. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, anytime.
All right, next hour here on MidPoint, the end of an era in the American judicial system, and some who cannot wait to get Eric Holder on the road as soon as possible. After the break, the words of one young man in the midst of a tumultuous time in sports suddenly makes the words role model mean something again, right here on MidPoint.